Right. So next on our lineup of national issues of political importance is the APC Reconciliation Committee, which has been set up, but of course is yet to be inaugurated. And its objective is to interface with aggrieved warring factions within the APC and resolve the contentious issues. So, as it stands, two prominent members of the party who are at loggerheads at this moment are the national chairman of the party, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, and Governor Obaseki of Edo State. So, this issue will definitely be top on the priority of the Reconciliation Committee. So this 10-member team, which is to be headed by the Senate President Ahmed Lawan, is already facing its first major obstacle, which is acceptance, because some members of the party are calling for its dissolution. So the governor of Edo State on one side, the national chairman of the party on another. That's ironic, if you ask me. And also remember that election is on the horizon, and the huge task of governance is also very present. So what are the thorny issues in this mix, and how close are the warring factions to a resolution? Let's find out tonight on the program. And joining us to do just that is Mr. Cletus Obun. He joins us from our Abuja studio. He's a former lawmaker and an APC chieftain. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome, Maurice.
And here in our Lagos studio, we have Mr. Solomon Okoduwa, Senior Special Assistant to Governor Obaseki on anti-human trafficking. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let me just take this time to wish both of you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
So let's begin with you, Mr. Okoduwa. This has dragged for some time, months actually. But what a lot of Nigerians are wondering is, where we are right now, how close are you to a resolution? Let's just have a sense of how close the parties are to a resolution.
First, thank you very much again. Mr. Governor, in his humble disposition, has been preaching peace on this subject matter in the recent times. So he's a man that believes in the rule of law and believes in the tenets of the APC constitution. So he, as is a man also that that hold the party in high esteem. But trying to cajole him into something that is ordered, or that is totally outside of his program is what I believe is unacceptable to him and to the people of Edo State.
What's that thing that is outside of his program that you mentioned?
Yeah, listen. For example, people that have vested interest in the so-called reconciliation are the people they keep nominating to spearhead to come and make peace in the state. So my question is, would you allow somebody who has been who have been having a secret a secret affair with your wife to come and preside over matrimonial trouble occasioned by that same? It's obviously not true. No,
I want to believe this is an analogy.
No, so there are people who are fueling this crisis, at the national and at the state level. So now the governor has said I want to be focused. I want this thing to be resolved. He has said this on several fora. He has maintained that position. Now those people who in the time past, threatening to take over the National Assembly, the State House of Assembly, who has threatened, several, press releases to take over Edo State, are the people coming to Edo in the name of peace.
Right. Now, Mr. Okoduwa, we'll come to some of his issues. I mean, you talked about people that have vested interests, and there's that analogy you used about someone's wife and all that. We'll come to that right after this break and get Mr. Cletus Obun to respond to some of the issues you have raised. Join us again. Well, you're welcome back to this Christmas edition of Politics Today, and the Edo State political impasse is still on the front burner tonight. So let's rejoin our guests. Mr. Cletus Obun, a former lawmaker and APC chieftain, joins us from our Abuja studio, as well as Mr. Solomon Okoduwa, Senior Special Assistant to Governor Obaseki on anti-human trafficking. Thank you, gentlemen, for your patience. So, Mr. Obun, before the break, I was going to come to you to get you to respond to some of the issues raised by Mr. Okoduwa. But before that, I want to know, on your side, that's for the national chairman of the party, how close are you to a resolution of this?
Well, I will start this program by, as usual, dedicating it, flowing from what the chief of the media spokesman for the president has said. You have talked about Showore and Dasuki. Agba Jalingo and Dr. Joe Dock are still in detention in Calabar for treason against a state which is not sovereign. I want to pray this. And then secondly, to say that I want to thank God on this Christmas day. I should be in my village, but my wife has gone through 3 surgeries in 30 days. And that is why you find me in Abuja. I should be with my constituents at home. So let me thank God specially for that and wish all Nigerians a happy Christmas. To the question, there are attempts to scuttle the next post-Buhari APC. And that is why people are resisting resolutions. No war, even the First, Second World War, the Nigerian Civil War, all were resolved on the table, not in the battlefields. No war has ever ended with bullets. It has always ended with discussions and negotiations and reconciliations. Not to talk about political game, which is about jaw. It is therefore very disheartening. If you have any suspicion, even in a law court, which is as divine, has almost the same equivalence and next to God, people have recused themselves as judges on mere suspicion of bias. It is in our statutes, it's in our jurisprudence. Not to talk about an adjudicatory reconciliatory committee. I am shocked and very, very amazed that a man who is about to face an election is the one averse to any form of reconciliation. If at any point you feel that one member or two of the committee are not acceptable to you, all you need to do is to point them out and announce that these 2 persons can't sit here because they are the cause of my problems. But you do not all ab initio condemn the entire process as completely not acceptable. It means you are averse to any form of reconciliation. And that is why those who are from Edo State and those who are in APC, in Cross River, for example, there are going to be issues there as well. But all you can do is to point out the person who you feel is the Jonah in the ship of reconciliation for APC. Therefore, the move presently put in place by the national chairman of APC, whose spokesman I am not, but who I am sufficiently as a party member and as a leader in my state, and as a leader of the party at the national level to say that Adams Oshomole's reconciliation move is the best that could happen to us now. If you wait for next year, people are going to take positions. Edo State cannot override the other 35 states and Abuja. Therefore,
Mr. Obun, rather,
I want to implore those who are throwing the bat.
Mr. Obun, if I may come in here, just to put in what Mr. Okoduwa said much earlier.
This is just one battlefront.
Mr. Obun, just to put in what Mr. Okoduwa said earlier. Now, he has said that the challenge with this committee, this reconciliation committee, perhaps, is the membership. They believe on their side that the members of this committee are people that are perhaps loyal to the national chairman of the party. So from that angle, don't you think they have, you know, some creditable worries?
This is exactly the problem we are having. Because Comrade Oshomole is from Edo State, he has lost the liberty and the rights imbued on him by the constitution of the party on account of one person's ambition to run governorship in Edo State. For instance, what will you say a Senator John Owaneno is to do, is the secretary of that committee is from Cross River State, from South-South? In what way is he related to Adams Oshomole that you are now condemning? You cannot condemn the entire committee. In other words, he's suggesting that until he nominates the members, PDP said that when we were going to the Supreme Court, the judges are this, the judges are that. But these judges were mostly appointed in the PDP era, yet they were suspecting it. Today again, you are having a national chairman whose duty it is in consultation with the National Working Committee and the National Executive Committee to constitute committees and ad hoc committees to resolve issues and take final decisions. And this committee has been set in place. Let me say this. What we are having here is one battlefront. The war is ahead. And the war of continuity, of sustenance of APC as a party post-Buhari. We have won this election. We are home and dry. We are into governance. And it is our actions and inactions that are going to decide for us, not Edo State.
Okay.
We've lost about 15 states, 4 more states more than before. So if APC does not take its time because of Edo State, we can't be distracted.
Right.
We cannot be distracted on account of Edo State. And the national chairman cannot sit to be national chairman because he's from Edo State.
Right. So, Mr. Okoduwa, you have listened to Mr. Obun, and he's saying that is the issue with the whole committee or members of the committee. So, from where you sit, who are the members, or is it the whole committee, but who are the members that you have issues with, that you think have vested interests?
Well, I mentioned earlier the leadership of the National Assembly, who have threatened to take over Edo State House of Assembly.
So you're talking about the chairman of this committee?
Yeah, the chairman of the committee. So he's the chairman of the committee. Now, having that kind of person at the high level of that delegation to superintend issues that lead to peace in the state, it doesn't give us comfortable.
So you're saying the issue mainly is with the chairman of the committee, not the members of the committee?
And we also believe that the chairman can also influence or induce the Rex members to do the biddings of the man who wanted to be, who want Edo at all costs. My brother, see, the issue of Edo State is beyond the power that be. What the people of Edo need peace, and that peace must be given to those who told the part of peace. And the governor of Edo State, he has made it abundantly clear that this election is on this is his second term. That is his action. His works that he has done in the past and him is his second tenure. And the people of Edo State loved him passionately. And we have proof to that. Right. That yes, he has. It is what people has been taking the collective patrimony that will have used to develop the states. That in the time past taken to the pockets of few individuals is not being used to to advance the cause of the general public of Edo State.
Mr. Okoduwa, this for a lot of people is essentially primarily a party affair, and this committee, this reconciliation committee, is made up of members of the APC, which the governor also belongs to. So a lot of people are wondering, they are members of the APC, so what will be an ideal committee for you?
They should consult the people. That for me, my perception, because I'm not in the caucus now, but I believe if the state is duly consulted as to this is what we want to do, now let us have a level playground to discuss issues like this. I believe the governor has a humble disposition. He will never reject such an offer. But don't bring people at the highest levels. You go to Edo and discuss this matter at the heat of these burning issues. I don't believe the governor will accept that.
So who constituted this committee? Let's start from there. Was it the national chairman? Was it the neck of the party? Or was it the president? Who constituted this committee?
The National Working Committee
of the party. Yes. That's the NWC.
Yes.
So the NWC is not just made up of the chairman, the national chairman of the party. So are you saying you don't trust the decision of the National Working Committee?
The point here is this. The people that is leading the committee are the people we are talking about right now that has issues with the state.
And the people were actually chosen by the NWC.
Yes.
Which is like a proper body that represents the interests of the whole party.
So it's like a judge is coming to decide his own case. So it looks people in this, there's already a puzzle. You have said you want to, the governor is done, the governor didn't, the House of Assembly of Edo State didn't pass due process, and they would, in that case, you're going to shut it down at the national, the guys at the, you will take it over from Abuja, and now you are coming again in another platform to discuss peace in that same direction. So these are the areas that people are not comfortable with. So I believe if these things are done properly, if this part is told peacefully, there will be peace in the Edo State, and I believe there will be peace. Honestly, there will be peace.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Obun, Mr. Okoduwa referenced, the period where there was controversy, which is still dragging, apparently, with the Edo State House of Assembly, and the National Assembly made moves to wade into this matter. So, for him and this faction, they're saying that having the Senate President as the head of this committee is not acceptable to them. Do you share these concerns?
Let me tell you this, what the governor and especially people like my friend Okoduwa there are suffering here is pre-election psychosis. Pre-election psychosis. The mere fact that he wants to contest an election. Otherwise, in context,
Mr. Obun, I'd like us to be careful.
So win your election.
Mr. Obun, I'd like us to be careful with our term. I mean, using psychosis is perhaps extreme, but please go on.
Say paranoid. There is an obsessive fear of defeat. That is what I mean by that. An excessive fear of defeat, even before an election. Otherwise, we said you are talking about a matter that happened over the House of Assembly inauguration. And the custodians of national parliaments across our state, as enshrined in our constitution, is the National Assembly. And they waited in not to impose a state assembly, but to correct an anomaly about the procedure relating to the parliament as given to them by the constitution. And today we are saying APC members reconcile. We don't want to lose Edo State to PDP. And you are saying because the House of Assembly, a decision was taken about House of Assembly that you didn't like, it means they are coming here to also talk about House of Assembly or carry that anger and come to you over House of Assembly. There's no relationship whatsoever. Therefore, I would like to plead that as long as we hold positions of responsibility, it also behoves on us to take the obligation and privilege. As we take the privileges, we must take responsibility for our privileges. The governor and all his supporters and aides must speak in favor of APC and not their personal interests. I would like to hear Okoduwa say to us that, look, even if it means the governor not running his election, as long as APC will win, he is ready to make that sacrifice. We've seen people do that over and over.
So, Mr. Obun,
it is not about his second tenure that APC should now go down in his own hands. It is not a good statement to say they handed APC to him, he won his election, and because he wants to win at all costs, he wants to destroy, get into the Samson syndrome. That is, I either get it or all of us go down.
Well, Mr. Okoduwa, you want to respond to the statement he made?
The governor has ever said he will destroy the party in his stand. No, he has ever said that he's going to maintain the baton that was given to him and run with it. So he never, of what benefit will it be to him to see this? So that is, I think that statement is not very correct.
Right. So, Mr. Obun, I just want to put this in, because a lot of Nigerians remember, I believe it was in August, when the governor of Edo State and the national chairman of the APC met, and they came out and said, well, what rift? There's really no rift between us. And a few months down the line, we're seeing this. So, I mean, people are trying to put that together, juxtapose what happened then and what is happening now. So apparently there were issues. So how did you miss it from that point till this moment?
What that tells you goes back to what I was trying to say that you almost misunderstood. That is to say that if in-house we could not resolve it, we now need a third party. It is biblical, it is spiritual, it is also traditional. That if between you and your brother you can't resolve, you call it a second party. If it doesn't, you go for a third party. If at that point you cannot, you let God take a decision. This is where we are now. The second attempt is being made by asking third parties or second parties to come in. If, again, we are not going to get a resolution, maybe we'll have a presidential or the national caucus of the party or the board of trustees of the party or such other organ as they may trust. If the National Working Committee made up of members of APC, even from Edo State, are not going to take a decision to form a committee that will be favorable to the governor and government of Edo State, then clearly there is a complete aversion and rebuttal and refusal to accept reconciliation as a way forward. If that is the case, there is no other language than an attempt to destroy the party in order not to have a candidate or in order for us not to have. We saw it happen in Zamfara. We didn't have a candidate there because of this same situation build up. We had that happening to us in Rivers. We don't want that to happen to us. We almost had it in Bayelsa. Let it not happen to us here, the home state of the president. Let me ask you, will it be in the enlightened political interest of an Oshomole to hand over power or to support somebody to become governor, only for him to come around as national chairman and lost his own state? Of what benefit would that be to him?
Okay,
therefore,
Mr. Obun,
attempt to make reconciliation should be seen in very good light. And let the governor take that from there. Take this green leaf and take this olive branch.
So let's bring this to Mr. Okoduwa. He has raised some issues, saying that this is perhaps an attempt to reject reconciliation from the path of the governor. But I'd like you to also add this to it. He has said the second party, third party. Are you perhaps calling for an independent reconciliation committee on one hand? Is that what you're asking for?
If that will solve the issue, either we give us the peace that we anticipated in Edo State, definitely we work for that. The issue now majorly is not the committee as a whole, but there is the leadership coming to Edo to preside over the peace stuff. You know, that is somehow, like I made just an illustration a while ago, that would you allow, in fairness, that somebody who has created the matrimonial acrimonial or matrimonial the discovery of your house, coming back again to preside over the peace occasioned by his, you know, so ordinarily in the mind of justice, you would allow that. You know. So that is why not the governor itself now is the people of Edo State, because we have seen these people in the time past trying to, you know, impose some, you know, some decisions, trying to make the governor, making people to believe that the governor is not doing the right thing, and is trying to do this outside the rules of law, which is not supposed to be.
So what is the stance of the APC in Edo State regarding this?
APC in Edo State, we were stronger. And I believe that the peace is bad. Definitely there will be peace. So, and Edo State, APC will win Edo State, and the governor of Edo State, Mr. Obaseki, will come back as a governor of Edo State.
No, the question is the APC Edo State backing the governor or the national chairman of the party?
APC Edo State is backing the state governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki.
So who is the national? Who's the leader of the party in the state?
This is the governor. The governor of Edo State is the leader of the party. He's a leader.
So essentially, this has now also spiraled into perhaps an impasse between the state APC and the national APC. Yes. Is that what this is?
We understand we understand and we respect the power, the position of the national chairman. But at this point in time, we want us to toll everything. We want to toll this with cautions. The governor of Edo State is a man of wisdom. He has been working in line with this principle. He started talking in recent time. Over the time, you've not heard him speaking against the policies or the decision of the national chairman. No. But this time, he's being pushed to speak things that he never wanted to do. So I believe if they allow genuine reconciliation to come in as a way of unifying all the warring factions, there will be peace.
Let me just put this in before we quickly go to Abuja. So you said that the governor is the leader of the party in the state, but there's also the chairman of the party.
Chairman.
So, no, in the state.
The state, okay.
So who supersedes when it comes to decision making?
No,
for the party.
The party, the governor is a leader. Governor, yes, the governor is a leader. Then the state party chairman is also a leader in the party structure.
Okay, so let's find out from Mr. Obun. So you have listened to Mr. Okoduwa. For you, whose decision should be final, as it were? Is it the leader of the party in the state or the chairman of the party in the state?
Party, precisely. You see, when ignorance is displayed with such arrogance, it becomes terrific for me. The party constitution is clear. The party constitution is very clear. Go to Article 31. Go to Article 5. Go to Article 1 of the party, up to 21 subsections of that article. It tells you who the leader of the party is at each level. The organs of the party are defined. Nowhere in the party constitution, the Nigerian Constitution or the Electoral Act, will the government, from MPN till today, as we speak, when Oshomole was governor, who was the leader of Edo State, APC or ACN, or today APC? Who was the leader? Today, as we speak, in Lagos State, we had APC, ACN. Who is the leader of the party in Lagos State? We have about 21 states of APC. Who is the leader in those states?
Mr. Obun, I need to step in now.
Contagion.
Right. I need to step in now because of time.
The leader of the party...
Just land. You can land on that.
The party has no reason to hand its power to the government. The governor is too busy. He's seen to be too busy in governance than to dabble into party affairs. And in this case, until he became national chairman,
Mr.
the entire, including Obaseki, sat in a meeting in which Adams Oshomole was made leader after the reign of Tommy Kimi.
Right. Mr. Cletus Obun, I'd like to thank you so much. I know this is an ongoing conversation, but I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us tonight. Mr. Cletus Obun is a former lawmaker and an APC chieftain. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for taking time out of your holiday, as well as Mr. Solomon Okoduwa, Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Edo State on anti-human trafficking. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, my friend.
I wish you both, quick reconciliation in the spirit of the season. We'll go on a quick break right now. The president's Christmas message to insurgents, terrorists, and the likes is our next talking point. What should follow? Join us again.